My name's Abby Keach. I'm the Managing Director at Michael Lewin Solicitors.
How did you become involved with the charity Gain?
My daughter was diagnosed with a respiratory illness in March 2016. She spent a couple of days in hospital and then she was released. Later on in that week, she got a neurological disease which ended up leading her to have paralysis to her neck, to her throat, and then down to her right arm. She was then diagnosed with a condition called Guillain-Barré syndrome. And Gain, the charity Gain, is a charity that assists people who have been diagnosed with the syndrome and helps them to gain more freedom and to support them in their recovery.
How did Guillain-Barré affect Paige?
She had this respiratory infection the week before where she had very laboured breathing, her chest raised up and down, and we just thought it was maybe bronchiolitis or pneumonia, so we took her to the LGI. She was kept in overnight, given a nebulizer, and the next day she was jumping up and down in the cot, and they said, take her away, she's noisy, she's a hooligan, she's obviously feeling a lot better. And that was on the Saturday before Mother's Day. So we spent the whole day with my mum, fantastic, all back to normal. And then on the Tuesday at nursery, they sort of said, she's not brilliant, she's not feeling very well, okay, she's a child, maybe she's just got a relapse of this issue. On the Wednesday, she woke up and it was like she had a crick in her neck, so her neck was down like you'd get, if you'd slept funny. And that night she didn't recover and she hadn't got a lot better, so I took her to the out-of-hours doctor who said to give her some Calpol, she's fine, don't worry. Thursday she still wasn't better, and then on the Friday, when she woke up, she fell straight onto her face, and I thought, oh, she's had a stroke. Obviously very distressing for a mother to see that. Went straight down to A&E, who same nurses that we'd seen the week before, who said, they were all absolutely boggled. A&E were boggled by it. Took her up to the ward, and after the 4 or 5 days, the neurologist came onto the ward and said, I've seen this before, but only in adults. It's Guillain-Barré syndrome.
Yes, because Guillain-Barré syndrome is very rare, isn't it?
It is. 1 in 100,000 people are affected by it.
Mm-hmm.
It's usually males over 50. It can lead to death. It is a very serious condition. The variant that she had is called pharyngeal cervical brachial GBS, and it's 3% of that 1% of 100,000 people. So she's exceptionally rare in what she was diagnosed with. I've done a lot of research, and I found a gentleman in Montana that had it, and a little girl in South Africa that had it. It is that rare. So it was very hard for the doctors to be able to diagnose what it was, because it didn't fit with the same symptoms as a stroke. It didn't fit with the same symptoms as meningitis or encephalitis or anything like that. But it had also had syndrome parts of it that were like that. So it was very difficult for them. She has had 3 MRI scans, a lot of blood tests, and now really it's about getting her back on her feet, getting her into physio, and getting her fully recovered.
What treatment is Paige getting for Guillain-Barré syndrome?
So Paige originally had what's called IVIG treatment.
Mm-hmm.
There's 2 treatments that have been recognised that could help with the recovery for GBS. The first one is IVIG, and the other one is plasmapheresis. IVIG is very expensive. It's £5,000 a treatment, and she needed 5 courses, so it's £25,000 treatment, and she eventually has had 2 lots of that over the period of time that she's been ill. What it does is help to kill off the bad bacteria, and help the body recover.
How long did it take for her to start recovering from Guillain-Barré syndrome?
GBS causes you get a sort of a 10-day to 2-week plateau where you get the worst symptoms, and then you start to come out of it, and then you start to see little bits of recovery. Mm-hmm. The recovery is so slow. A nerve cell grows 1 millimetre each day, and as for a child, that obviously means that recovery should be a lot quicker than with an adult who's got longer arms and longer nerves. But it's a little bit every day. She's still not fully back, and we're now 9 months down the line. But the little things that she does that you see the recovery are such a big moments in time that, you know, it's a big mountain for her. Like, you know, if she's able to dance, she starts using her arm a bit more. If she's been able to use a pen again, so it's little steps, but it is taking a long time for her to recover.
What is your advice to other parents who have a child with Guillain-Barré syndrome?
Is to get advice, to go to people and the charities like GAIN, to understand what the recovery times are, what the limitations a child are going to have. That it's not going to happen overnight. I was under this misconception that, you know, she'd be back working and she'd be fine within 3 to 6 months. That's not the case. It's going to take a lot longer. And if she does fully recover, there is always the tendency that potentially she might not be one of the percentage that does get back to being normal, that she's going to have to live with a disability, that she's going to have to live with limitations that potentially she may have. We hope that's not the case. We hope that she will get back to it. But I think for advice for parents is that read up, ask your neurologist, don't take no for an answer, get more advice, make sure that the physios are there to help you, get hydrotherapy if needs be, and go back and push and push and push until you get what you feel, because with the child they're not there to voice it.